Hi, my name is Mark Jones. Welcome, if I haven't already welcomed you, to the OneFitJam 60-day fall health challenge. Now, I'm super excited because so many of you are like really getting this thing down. You're eating right. You're taking your pictures. You're showing me what you're eating. You're doing your fitness and stuff like that. You're posting. You're being a big help to other people. And some of the things that you guys are coming up with, man, Monique, your stuff is awesome. I'm loving it. And I go down the list and mention names. It wouldn't be fair to mention some and not all, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm excited and you have me. I'm happy because you're benefiting from this. But I do know this, and I want to thank you, Yolanda, for bringing it up. It's very true. The first 60-day challenge, I had an opportunity to go over food and exactly why certain foods were bad for people. I haven't had an opportunity to do that this challenge, and so I'm going to do it via video. So this video is that. I'm going to go over in detail why the exclusions are off the list and why you have certain restrictions on this diet and what they're doing to your body. You need to know this stuff. You need to be able to inform your friends and your family and tell them why you're doing it, not just saying some trainer is telling you that you can't eat something, and when they ask you why, you don't know. So it sows seeds of doubt in your head and they call you crazy. They will call you crazy. Well, he told you can't eat sugar. He told you can't eat meat. Well, then what can you eat? I know. That's what they've said. That's what people tell me all the time. So I know they're asking you the same question. Now, what if you were armed with some knowledge and you're able to tell them, meat, it's adding fat to my body and things of that nature. It's not good for me. My body doesn't digest it right. And you shoot off the facts to them. Man, tell them to get out your face. That's how you do it. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And I've shot this video in segments because I know that most of you are busy. So we're going to do it in segments so that you can just watch it a segment at a time. So I'm hoping that most of you will watch some of the segments tonight if you can't watch it all, and then continue on throughout the week. So by the end of this week, all the segments should be done. Yes? If you agree to that, I promise you're going to get a bunch of information out of this. Okay? So without further ado, let's get started. Man, I know I vilify this stuff. And for good reason. It's just bad business. Sugar business is bad business. It's killing us in the droves. And most of us are consuming about 500 calories extra a day in just sugar. I mean, I'm about to go down a pretty lengthy list of things that sugar does, just so I can set the precedence, because I know I have my naysayers out there. Mark vilifies sugar. You darn right I do. It's killing you, and I don't want it to kill you. I want you to lose weight. I want you to feel good about it. I want you to have great bodies. I want you to be healthy all the days of your life. And this sugar, if you don't get this under control in your diet, man, you're just not going to get there. So listen to this list I have. I'm reading it from my computer, but I want you to listen along. Now, here are some of the things that sugar does. Okay, starting off. Let's start with gallstones. Sugar can cause heart disease, appendicitis, hemorrhoids, varicose veins, periodontal disease, osteoporosis, saliva acidity, insulin sensitivity. We all know that too much sugar leads to what? Diabetes, right? You got type 1 and you got type 2, of course. Toxemia, eczema. I bet you didn't know that. A lot of African American parents and their kids are dealing with the skin disorder eczema. Well, did you know that it's probably because of the sugary juices that you're feeding your kids on a continuous basis? Not saying that it's the only reason, but if you get that out the diet, at least you can eliminate one of the reasons. Doctors won't be able to tell you what it is. They keep telling you to give you a cream. It's a topical. It's something that deals with the symptoms after they come through, but it doesn't. It's not a cure. It doesn't help in that way. Okay. Oh, look at this. Sugar can impair the structure of your DNA. Isn't that something deadly, man? I'm going to stop right there. I could go on and on. There's 141 things on this list. And the reason is there's just no nutritive value in sugar whatsoever. Your body can't use it as a nutrient. It processes it as ATP, energy, tries to turn it into energy. But for most of us, we're just consuming sugar in the wrong way. And that is the big culprit. Let's explain how sugar is metabolized in the body. Now, we've all heard of simple and complex carbohydrates. Am I not correct? Most of you, that's, I mean, something that came out, I believe, in the 90s, and we made it real big. Everybody was focused on their simple and complex carbohydrates, and in the 90s, we were specifically focused on fat. The low-fat craze of the 1990s is what was supposed to be our savior, stopping America from becoming the most obese nation in the world. It didn't stop anything because we were going after the wrong thing. It wasn't the fat in the items that was causing us to become obese. It was the sugar in all of its various forms. We'll get to that in just a second. But I want you to know the process of sugar metabolization. Let's take an apple, for example. I love apples. They're full of fiber. They're good. My mom used to tell me an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And you know, she was just saying something, but and I don't know if she knew the science behind it. But hey, apples are so good for you that they just might be the very key to keeping the doctor away. What's in them that makes them so good? Why can I consume the sugar in an apple versus a piece of bread, 2 pieces of bread? Well, apples have something called fiber. And if you heard this too, so bear with me if you already know this. Fiber, man, it's such good stuff. Your body just can't digest it. Your body's like, well, you know, this stuff is coming through me. I just got to get it out. So what's it do? It passes it out. But fiber does so many beneficial things for you while it's in here. It scrubs the walls of your colon. It stops toxins from forming up there, waste and toxins. It cleans that mess out, gets it out your system, because if it stays in your system, it creates the environment for disease and toxicity. So it gets that mess out of there. Man, fiber helps to regulate, most importantly, the metabolization of sugar. That's what that apple has over the 2 pieces of white bread that I said in the beginning. It has fiber. And when the sugar from the apple is released in your body and it is mixed with that fiber, your body, the pancreas releases insulin on a timed mechanism. And your body is able to regulate how the sugar is metabolized. It takes it to wherever it needs to take it to. Your muscles will use that sugar in the form of ATP. Some of it is stored in the liver as glycogen, and other uses. The brain, you need energy for your body. Your brain needs glucose, so it can function well. But now let's discuss the alternative. What happens when you consume a simple carbohydrate? Well, your simple carbohydrate is released into the bloodstream without anything in it to regulate how fast or how slow it's metabolized. So your body does something to preserve itself. It's always, if you remember this, your body is always in preservation mode. So what does it do? It releases an overdose of insulin every single time. Every single time that you consume a simple carbohydrate, your body releases an overload of insulin. I don't care what simple carbohydrate it is. Every single time. So guess what? Now, sugar is released in the simple carbohydrate. Insulin has been released as well. Because too much sugar in the bloodstream is a dangerous thing and can lead to death. Which is why diabetics have to take insulin shots to stop up excess sugar when they have insulin resistance, and pretty much some have just stopped producing insulin whatsoever. So you have to take insulin so there's not this excess sugar just sitting around in the body, because that can cause or lead to death. So what happens now when all of this sugar, which by the way, it's the insulin has turned most of it into fat, because once, let's imagine a dump truck full of sand, and you try and put more sand in it, but eventually the sand comes spilling over the top. There's just no more room in the dump truck. So your body has to do something with that excess sugar. So insulin starts storing it as fat. And guess where it loves to store it? Right around the belly. Oh yeah, ladies, it'll store that fat around the hips. Yes, it will. It stores it in your breast. It stores it around your butt. It stores it in all the places, all the glory places that we want to look good. That's why we can't get those guys. That's why you can't get those abs you've been looking for. You consume too much sugar, and specifically a certain kind of sugar. But let's get back to what I was saying. So insulin has stored most of and the vast majority of the excess sugar that you're consuming as fat. But then we have a problem. Now there's too much insulin in the bloodstream. So guess what your body does? Tries to send out a signal again to tell you to eat even though you're not hungry. And now you go back and complete the cycle again and consume more simple carbohydrates instead of consuming the complex carbohydrate it needs to regulate that sugar metabolism. It's very dangerous game that we're playing when we eat consistently simple carbohydrates. So that is that's the basic process of how sugar is metabolized. Now, when there are various different types of sugar. When I say sugar, please understand that I'm not just talking about the table sugar that you get from a white bag of sugar or a brown sugar or powdered sugar. I'm talking about anything that is broken down into sugar. So that means starchy things like potatoes and corn. That could mean white bread, wheat bread, flour, any flour item, any tortillas, things of that nature. All of those things are broken down into sugars into your body, and most of the things that I just mentioned were actually all simple carbohydrates, even the potatoes and even the corns, which is why on the exclusion list you see potatoes, because they actually have a higher sugar release or glycemic index rating than table sugar. Just a little tidbit for you. But then you have sugars that come from fresh fruits and vegetables. Now, are those sugars any different than the sugars that are released than these other items? Well, somewhat, but not too much, because it's sugar. It's still sugar, but your body has time to regulate how it's processed in the body, and that's the key, ladies and gentlemen. That is the key. So on the exclusion list, I have sugars. Table sugars, brown sugar, powdered sugar, even honey and agave nectar. I include that in the process in sugars because of how it's processed. I'm not concerned about what you've been told on most of these things as far as being healthy. It has these nutrients in it. It has these vitamins in it. To me, that doesn't matter, because of how your body metabolizes it. If it metabolizes it in this fashion, in the fashion of a simple carbohydrate, it's on the exclusion list because it will make you gain weight. Okay, and now honey may have all sorts of nutritional value to it, but the honey that you're getting in the stores is overly processed for one, and it's basically, by the time it's put into those jars, it's a simple carbohydrate. So if you were following along in your brief, which I have in front of me right now, the first thing that I outlawed was sugar. And some of the wonderful replacements that you can have are fresh fruits and vegetables. Man, watermelon. Oh, one of my favorites. It's one of the best things you can have for sugar. Apples and bananas and mangoes. All sorts of fruits. Blueberries, blackberries. Man, it's so good for you. But now, what about fresh fruits? What about fresh vegetables? Yeah, sure. They got sugars in them, just not near as much. But you can have vegetables as well, as far as the sugar things. So that's one of the beautiful things about it. So let's move on. My sugar videos becoming a little long, but I can't help it. The sugar stuff is important. Now, is it just sugar itself? Or is there a more dangerous form of this sugar? And the answer to that question is yes. There is a more dangerous form of this sugar, and it's called high fructose corn syrup. Literally, fructose will mess you up. It will. Okay. Now, high fructose corn syrup is pretty much, there's a very complicated process of breaking it down from corn. And sugars are the result of it. And they dubbed it high fructose corn syrup. It comes from corn, pretty much. Now, your body metabolizes it different. So, high fructose corn syrup, when it first came out, got a lot of praise because guess what? It didn't spike insulin. It doesn't spike insulin release in your body. And so most diabetics have used it in their foods and things of that nature. Doctors even recommended it and said that it was something healthy and awesome for them. But it was not. It was leading to the worst pandemic now of obesity that we have in the world. Fructose has literally single-handedly taken out millions of people by obesity. Now, why? Because your body cannot metabolize it. So the liver has to. And when the liver metabolizes it, it blocks the metabolic pathways. The liver turns the vast majority of it at a higher percentage than sugar is turned into fat. Fructose is turned into fat. It literally, when you drink or eat something with fructose, you're drinking fat because your body is turning it into fat. It promotes lipogenesis, which is basically the formulation of fat. It also has a blocking mechanism that blocks the hormone called leptin. Now, what does leptin do? Does anybody know the benefit of leptin? Well, leptin is the hormone that tells you to stop eating. So when you eat something that's full of fructose, and let me tell you, everything in the American diet is full of this stuff, you still feel hungry even after you've eaten a lot of food. And you're hungry again in an hour, not just because you need the food. No. It's not like when you eat an apple or a pear and you're full for an hour and then you need to eat again because your body used the nutrients in it. No. This is because the hormone leptin has been blocked. And so now you feel hungry when you shouldn't be. It releases hormones in the brain that like serotonin release and things like that. So you kind of get a high feeling from it. So guess what? It becomes addictive, just like sugar. I think the most dangerous thing about high fructose corn syrup is that it has the same effects on your body as alcohol. Now let me ask you this, because this is important. Would you, parents, would you give your kids alcohol? Would you give your children not just a drink every once in a while, but every single day? Would you give your kid a cold one? A shot? That's what you're doing if you're giving them anything with high fructose corn syrup in it. You're giving them the same conditions that alcohol promotes and puts in the body. So, how does this happen? Well, alcohol works in this manner. About 10% of it is processed in the brain. Another percentage is processed by the liver. And it has to be because your body that's just the way it works. It just can't process it. It can't process it in the normal fashion that it does food. Well, fructose, remember I told you, it's already metabolized in the liver. So the same things that's happening, cirrhosis of the liver. Let me go down the list real quick. There are all the number of things that pretty much is happening in the body because of alcohol is happening when you consume fructose. So you got hypertension, you got cardiomyopathy. So in fructose terms, that'll be myocardial infarction. So basically heart disease. Okay, you got dyslipidemia, pancreatitis, obesity. You have addiction and fetal alcohol syndrome. All things that are caused by alcohol consumption, caused by fructose consumption. So, taking the children out, would you drink alcohol every day? You wouldn't. So now these things are in you're in your system. It's not only causing an abnormal level of fat production, but it's harming your body like alcohol would. It's releasing hormones that make you addictive. Man, like what? Who told you this stuff was good? It's a rat poison. This is worse than sugar itself, and it's in everything. If you look at the brief that I sent you in your emails, I have a list of things, just some of the things that alcohol is in. It's in the jams, it's in crackers, it's in Bush baked beans, it's in all Coca-Cola products. You better not be drinking Coca-Cola products. No Coca-Cola products whatsoever. I don't even want to get started on that, but you don't need any of those things in your life. Ketchup is in most breads. It's in Arizona drinks. It's in the Powerades. It's in Gatorades. It's in all Minute Maid drinks. Let me tell you something. It's everywhere, and you have to be careful on the 60-day challenge because it's on the exclusion list. This stuff is the weight. It is the obesity pandemic. This stuff, it is. That's what's the cause of it. Sugar is contributed, but now more so than ever, high fructose corn syrup is causing many, many problems in this nation. And I want you to be informed about sugar, and I want you to be informed about high fructose corn syrup because they're deadly for you. So, man, I've harped on sugar, I think, enough. That ends the portion on sugar. I think next we're going to move on to meat.